This video could get me in some serious hot water. Welcome back, Book Dragons. I'm so glad you joined me today. Today's going to be a little bit different video because I'm going to be discussing whether or not the Cosmere has gotten out of hand. Now, if you've been watching BookTube for any length of time, you are probably familiar with the Cosmere, created by Brandon Sanderson. It's an interconnected multiverse spanning several different books and hundreds of different characters. And it's just become this massive endeavor in storytelling on a level that isn't usually seen in the publishing world. And it's got a huge fan base, of which I am one, guys. I want to make that clear from the outset. I am not coming at this from a negative perspective on the Cosmere. I love the Cosmere. I really do. I enjoy the stories that are being told in this multiverse. I think a lot of the characters are just fantastically written, and the way he weaves the stories together is really fascinating to watch. I am coming at this from someone who has almost read everything in the Cosmere up to date. He's still writing new stuff. We've got a new book coming out in December, the 5th book in the Stormlight Archives, so I'll be reading that eventually. But as of right now, I'm almost completely caught up. And so for me, it's not that big a problem, right? For me, I'm kind of in the know. I know what's happening. I know what to expect when I'm reading certain books. If something pops up in one of those books, I know what's being talked about because I've read other books in the series. But for new people wanting to explore the Cosmere, it's a little bit different story. So there are currently 20 books in the Cosmere, plus Arcanum Unbounded, which is a collection of short stories that are also set in the Cosmere. And some of those short stories have even been published separately as well in their own novella form. And so those are out there and can be bought separately as well. So there's just a lot of books, and so it creates a really big time investment, and I think that's what I want to talk about first, is the time investment. As readers, we've got a lot of different books that we want to read, right? I'm always finding new books that I want to add to my long list of books to be read. There are always new authors to explore, and so for someone wanting to explore the Cosmere for the very first time, it can be a little bit daunting because it is a huge time investment. If somebody decides that they want to get into the Stormlight Archive, for instance, they've got 4 books so far. Each of those books are either close to 1,000 pages or well over 1,000 pages. So that right there is a huge chunk of time spent. And then some of those books are going to require them to read other books in the Cosmere. And so it becomes a huge undertaking that not every reader is going to want to take the time for. And part of that is something that I kind of already alluded to, and that is the prerequisites. There are a lot of videos out there talking about where you should start with the Cosmere, what books are safe to read without being spoiled, and what books will give you the necessary knowledge to move on to other books in the Cosmere. And even Brandon Sanderson himself has made videos and written articles about where the best place to start would be. And between what Brandon says and what other readers say, sometimes they contradict each other. And so it's really hard to know where to start with the Cosmere. For instance, the new secret novels that Brandon Sanderson recently released are hailed by a lot of people as great places to start with the Cosmere. But there are things that pop up in some of these books, certain characters in particular, that will leave readers thoroughly confused if they haven't encountered them in other books already. So if you are a new Cosmere reader and you're coming to the secret novels, there are going to be things in there that you don't completely understand. In fact, even for seasoned readers of the Cosmere, there's one secret novel in particular that talks about events that have not happened yet in any of his books. And yet it's now been written about as though it's a known fact. So even as a seasoned reader, I was reading that book and I'm going, okay, I don't remember this. I think this must not have happened yet. And so it's things like that that make me feel like the Cosmere is spiraling out of control just a little bit. We're also in an era of entertainment where multiverses are the thing to make content about. So you've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe that spans dozens of movies, and a lot of those movies are interconnected, and for someone who's new to something like that to embark on their journey in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just really daunting. And I think the same is becoming true of the Cosmere. We're getting to a point where we're having multiverse overload, and it's making it hard for people to keep up. And I kind of wonder if it's becoming difficult for Brandon Sanderson to keep up, because now he's brought his good friend Dan Wells, who I'm sure is a very good writer. I haven't read Dan Wells, but I'm sure he's a very good writer. But Brandon is bringing him in to start writing books in the Cosmere to help expand the universe. And so I see a couple of different scenarios playing out. The first scenario is that any people who are new to the Cosmere wanting to start their journey are just not even going to bother because they're getting so many different answers of where to start. Either that, or they will start reading in the Cosmere and then get overwhelmed after a while and just stop at that point as well. And then even for seasoned readers of the Cosmere, there's a chance that it might start getting so overwhelming for them that they're going to get burned out and need to take a long extended break from the Cosmere at the very least. And so I'm really waiting to see what's actually going to happen with this. And like I said, I love the Cosmere. I want to read more books in that world. I really enjoyed my experience. But I have to be honest, even for me, it's getting a little overwhelming to keep up with all the connections and Easter eggs and different books that are popping up. You know, I'll occasionally watch videos to remind myself of, okay, where was this connection from? What book was that from? Okay, yeah, so now I need to go over here and figure out what's happening over here. And oh wait, there's this other Easter egg that leads over here, and it's becoming a little bit convoluted. I like it. I'm in it for the long haul, but I kind of wonder if it's not becoming a little bit too much. And I think the ultimate end result of this is going to be that only serious hardcore fans of Brandon Sanderson are going to be reading the Cosmere. I don't want that to be the case. I hope that new readers will come and start enjoying Brandon's books, but I think the reality is that it's becoming kind of a Brandon fan club endeavor, because only the hardcore dedicated fans are going to know all the ins and outs of the books and be able to keep up with everything that's happening. I could be wrong, and I really hope I am, but I've talked to several friends of mine who are a bit frustrated and overwhelmed by the sheer size of this massive beast that the Cosmere has become. And they're seriously questioning whether or not to even bother reading it. And I think that's sad, and I really hope that they will start reading the books, but I can understand why it's so daunting. And I can't fault Brandon Sanderson necessarily. He's got all these stories in his head that he needs to get out, and it's a full-time job for him, and he just keeps cranking out books, and I love that. I really do. I hope that he continues to do that. I just wonder if there should be more books written with the intent of drawing in new fans. Because I think that the direction the Cosmere is going to alienate new readers and possibly alienate seasoned readers as well, or at the very least cause burnout. So I've rambled on a long time about this topic. I would love to hear from you what your thoughts are. Let me know in the comments below. Keep it nice, keep it civil. We're all friends here. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson. I'm not knocking the Cosmere at all. I just wonder if it's gotten out of hand. So let me know in the comments below. And until next time, guys, make sure you're reading more books. I'll talk with you soon.